going, guys? It's Macleod GF, and today I'm going to be doing another custom LEGO minifigure showcase video. And for the first time in this year, I have two new custom clone troopers, and we have new versions of both Captain Rex in his phase 2 armor and ARC Trooper 5s. And as you know, part of the recently released final episodes of the Clone Wars that were on Netflix on March 7th, I wanted to showcase these minifigures, but then I also didn't want to showcase them simply because, well, if you take a look at Captain Rex, his torso and legs are both official LEGO, printed parts, and then ARC Trooper 5's, his torso, arms, legs, waistcape, and pauldron have all been in, a showcase before this, but I still wanted to show these minifigures to you one more time, even though they have, components that have already been shown, and you guys have already seen practically half of the figures. I wanted to show you that they do have new helmets, and Captain Rex has a new pair of arms, and, just things like that that I wanted to include in this showcase video. And like I said, I didn't want to originally do this showcase video, but I mean, I really did like the outcome of these helmets, and I thought it would have been just a damn shame not to show them to you guys and to keep them, a Twitter or Facebook exclusive type thing. And that's why I always recommend you guys should follow me on Twitter and Facebook, because not everything, makes it to my YouTube channel. So once again, links to those two are in the description below as always. But I mean, yeah, I wasn't originally going to do this showcase video, but I'm glad that I am, because I'm really happy with the way these new helmets turned out. And that's pretty much going to be the center of the showcase video, are their new helmets that are once again completely fully painted Aerolite helmets. And they're not the printed Aerolite helmets, for those of you who can't already tell. But yeah, can't believe the Clone Wars is over. Still getting over that and recovering from that. Absolutely tragic. But still, what better way to honor the show than to make iconic characters from it? So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into this half showcase video, I guess. Alright, so we're going to start off with Captain Rex in his Phase 2 armor, and I remember the day that I was at Star Wars Weekends when they revealed the new Phase 2 Clone Troopers of the first Season 4 trailer. It was so exciting, and I can't believe that was already all the way back in 2011. And actually, the last time you guys saw a custom Captain Rex from me was late 2011, really late, and then I actually showed him in January of 2012, so it's been a while. And then in 2013, LEGO released their own official Captain Rex, and I thought that was pretty awesome. Therefore, I lost any motivation that I might have had to make my own, another version of Captain Rex in his Phase 2 armor. But it was only until I painted this new helmet that I realized how horrid LEGO Group's Phase 2 Captain Rex helmet is. It is just so proportionally wrong in about every retrospective, and it's just bad. I mean, so I'm just really glad that I've made my own here, which is far more accurate, and if you ask me, I'm just much more proud of this one, and I hope you guys are too. And I mean, like I said already in the beginning of this video, pretty much the entirety of these minifigures, aside from little parts that I'll point out here, are either, from past versions of these characters you've already seen me make, or they're official LEGO parts. And when I say, past versions, it's the reason I didn't change them is because simply I didn't really want to change much on them, because the way that I already executed these figures in their previous version is the way I was similar enough to the way that I would have made them now to just not even change it, and therefore I only made slight modifications to these clone troopers, but clearly the biggest modifications would be their helmets. And starting off with Captain Rex's here, honestly, I made Captain Rex's helmet after I made Fives' helmet, and therefore I had a little bit of confidence that Captain Rex's helmet would work out. But honestly, I didn't really know what I was going to get myself into walking into it, because I kept remembering years ago when I made my first attempt at Phase 2 Captain Rex and how horribly that went. But now, it's years later with more skill, and Aerolite helmets and the age of Clone Army customs. I definitely had a much better chance at succeeding all these years later, and I'm definitely happy with Captain Rex's Phase 2 helmet here that I fully painted. I mean, if this was completely blank when I started with it, Captain Rex's helmet was a blank Phase 2 Aerolite helmet with nothing on it. This was not printed, and there is no printing on it in any sort of way. Everything you see on there, including the painted Clone Army Customs rangefinder, is 100% painted, and I'm just really happy with the way it turned out, especially the visor. The visor is the main part I was worried about, and it honestly did look a little bit strange, but then once I wrapped the blue around the visor, it just ended up looking really great, and the weld marks are there too, looking better than ever, and I'm really happy with the way they turned out because, you know, like I said, previous attempts that I've had at Captain Rex's weld marks did not go as planned, and I mean, then I started to realize, you know, those were attempts that I made years ago, so I should probably put those behind me, and in doing so, this turned out pretty awesome, and you'll notice that he does have the tally marks. Now, Captain Rex, he does have a good set of about six sets of tally marks on either side of his helmet, along with a few strays right next to them, and I wanted to do that. It would have been awesome, but I mean, you gotta understand, there's only so much I can do when it comes to the size of a Lego helmet, therefore I'm missing 2 of those sets of tally marks, and given that this is, once again, these tally marks are completely 100% painted on both sides, it can be problematic to have that many of them, and it would just look really odd even if I were to attempt to cram those in, and yeah, you'll notice he does, but behind the tally marks here, he does have the gray highlights in the back of his helmet there, which definitely look pretty nice as well, and the vents are probably the last touch that I added to Captain Rex, were the vents on the sides of his helmet. The vents are always a pain for me. I just hate painting, you know, straight lines like that, and that's why the vents and the tally marks can sometimes be a little bit of a pain for me, but I'm glad that they did turn out the way they do look, as, you know, they just, you know, it used to be the fact that I would only put about maybe 4 of the 5 tally marks that clone troopers have on helmets. It amazes me what the things I used to do to make clone troopers and the things that I would do now with these updated versions that I have here. And he does have the breathers painted on there as well, and you can see the gray breathers outlined in black, looking pretty awesome as well. And you can see he does have the 2 symbols on the signature Captain Rex symbols on the top of his helmet there, and I forget the name of the creature that those were named after. I used to know it, but if you know it off the top of your head, be sure to let me know in the comments below. And then he does also have the little dots as seen on the cheek areas of Captain Rex's helmet. So I mean, for the most part, that's pretty much it for Rex's helmet. It's just pretty much whatever I thought this is what I wanted to make my Captain Rex's helmet look like, and I'm really happy with it, as like I said, it's much more accurate, and just, you know, when I looked at my Commander Wolf and my Clone Trooper Comet from last year, and then I looked at my Captain Rex in 5s, I was just like, you know, these really need updates. I really need to make these consistent with Commander Wolf and Clone Trooper Comet, so that's what I did with making these figures, while also honoring the final season of the beloved Star Wars The Clone Wars series. And yeah, now the other things that I did update with Captain Rex here, he does use the same exact Cape Madness accessories that I used for him many years ago, and you can see that when I say that, I did update the color of both accessories, so now the blue is much more vibrant than the way Cape Madness provides it, and just, you know, more consistent with the rest of the figure. So his pauldron is now completely painted, and definitely, like I said, much more vibrant, and expresses the blue in a much better way. And the same goes to the waist cape. The waist cape's blue stripe has also been highlighted with a updated blue color. And then you can see this pouch here is actually a tiny tactical pouch, and that pouch is you've seen it. You probably saw me use it on my Call of Duty Ghost figures, and you'll probably see it on more figures to come. But I just realized that, hey, this pouch that is provided from Tiny Tactical actually looks just like the pauldrons that Captain Rex and ARC Trooper 5 sport on their pauldrons. So I took one of those, I sliced off the printed pouch that was attached to their pauldrons, and then I went ahead and painted on the necessary accurate details onto the pouch, and then glued it on, and it looks a lot better. And just having something more three-dimensional just makes the figure that much better. Now, the one problem that you probably even noticed in the intro of this video is that when you pull off the pauldron, all of the details from the LEGO Group's official torso are still there, and that's something I didn't want to just make a whole new torso just because those were still there, because once you take the pauldron and you put it over it, only from certain angles can you see those details underneath, and it doesn't really make it worth it for me to make a whole new torso. And that's why, in speaking of the torso, the only thing I did modify on the torso were the weld marks. I made the weld marks more consistent to that of the helmet that I had painted, and definitely looking a lot better, and making things consistent was probably the only thing that I really wanted to update on the official parts that I have already been using from the LEGO Group. And then the legs, you guys have all seen the legs before, just with the standard set of tally marks printed on them by the LEGO Group, and then the blue striped knee pads. But yeah, so now taking the pauldron and putting it back on here, we can talk about the arms, which is the pretty much the last thing that I did change on my Phase 2 Captain Rex here. And you can see with Captain Rex's arms, they are pretty much using the same template that I have painted my Clone Trooper arms with for the past year and a half or so now. And you can see this one is pretty nice as well. But I mean, these are just basic Clone Trooper arm templates, like I said, that I've painted before. But this time, you know, sporting Captain Rex's signature blue stripes. And this one does actually have the communicator painted on, similar to that of my Clone Trooper Comet and Commander Wolf from last year. And then this arm is pretty much just a copy of the opposite arm, just without the communicator. But I'll tell you right now, it's not that easy to paint on the black lining that makes up their arm detail. But I mean, for the most part, that's pretty much it for my Captain Rex minifigure, and I'm really happy with the way it turned out. And like I said, I'm just more or less happy that he's now more consistent with the other Clone Troopers that I made from last year, along with Five. So speaking of Fives, let's go ahead and take a look at him. Now, I won't spoil it, but man, those last story arcs for the Star Wars The Clone Wars Season 6, Fives was really at his best, and he was just a great clone trooper, and one of those characters from the Clone Wars that I'm really gonna miss, as he just really was one of those characters that defined the whole series for me. As if you guys weren't already aware, ARC Trooper Fives, like most of you already, is my favorite clone trooper and has been since that episode of Rookies from the original Season 1 of the Clone Wars, and he's just been an amazing character, and that's why I wanted to update him as well alongside Captain Rex. And as a matter of fact, I actually updated him first, and when I say updating him first, I made his helmet first, and his helmet definitely turned out really nice as well. As you can see, it's instead, obviously it's much different than that of Captain Rex's helmet, as he does not have the Phase 1 visor, he does have the Phase 2 visor. And I showed this to one of my friends while I was making it, and they literally thought that this was a printed helmet from the Microfighter sets, and I'm like, no, I actually painted this. This is 100% painted and is not from the Microfighter's turbo tank. That is not one of those helmets. Even though it might look like it to some of you, it is completely painted, and I'm definitely really happy with the result. You can see he does have the blue cheeks filled in on both sides, as accurate to his helmet, and then he does have the same ventilation features on both sides of the helmet that Captain Rex and all of my clone troopers have had, and then the same breathers as Captain Rex. And then he does have this one creature that was in Rookies. It was like it was some sort of eel. It was a something eel that I can't remember the name of from the episode Rookies. And Fives has had that decoed on his helmet since the the Battle of Kamino story arc in Season 3. And I forget the name of it. It was the eel that 8 cut up in the first Rookies episode, but I don't remember the name of it off the top of my head. But it is fully painted on in all of its accurate glory, and I'm definitely really happy with it, as well as painting Fives helmets numerous times in the past. I have had trouble painting this, and this time that was not the case, and I'm really happy with the final result. And if you couldn't already tell, his rangefinder is literally the exact same as Captain Rex's, and obviously it's painted once again 100% by me, but is a rangefinder directly from Mr. Page, Clone Army Customs. Awesome design by him, and I'm really glad that it fits well with the Aerolite Phase 2 helmets. You can see the whole eel design on Fives' helmet does continue all the way back down, right past these gray highlights that you can see right here, once again, as carried over from numerous clone troopers I've made in the past. But like I said, I have struggled with making this whole eel, design on Fives before, but thankfully this time it all went smooth. And you can see if we actually go ahead and pull off his helmet here, you can see that he does have all the features that exclusively make him Fives. When he pulls off his helmet, you have the Arabesh 5 tattoo right there up on his forehead, and it definitely looks really great as well. I've done that before, but I actually misplaced my original Fives head, so I just went ahead and made him a new one, and he does have his signature goatee as well painted on. So little details like that I really wanted to add in for Fives, just to make sure that this clone trooper is unique amongst all others that I have. And then if we go ahead and we actually just go ahead and leave his head on. As a matter of fact, putting his helmet back on as well, you can see that he does have the same exact pouch, the same exact painted tiny tactical pouch that I replaced his pauldron with, or replaced onto his pauldron. And you can see it's really nice, and it's literally just the same as Captain Rex's. I pretty much just took the pouch that was already coming down, that was flat. It was literally a part of of the pauldron that was the original pouch that was there. It was literally just a piece of fabric that was attached to it that I snipped off and then, you know, like I already explained, glued this one on. But one thing I did update on 5's pauldron though would be this gray area. Originally this was blue because originally this pauldron was actually intended to be Echo pauldron. And by the way, Echo's alive, as you know, indicated by Dave Filoni in those sketches that he released. Regardless, I did paint that you know, gray as accurate to 5's, even though it was intended to be an Echo pauldron. And something I should really address with 5's here, because it wasn't the case for Captain Rex, is that these are JPO 97 Studios decals. Link to his channel will be in the description below. He's been kind of inactive lately, but hopefully he'll fix that soon, as he was an amazing decal designer. He's always been, and has been a great friend to me for many years. And while he probably hates me for re-showcasing the decals that are super outdated, I honestly think these designs are still really great, and that's why I didn't replace them, because this is honestly still the way I would have made 5's, and with these decals as well. So I mean, you can see they're pretty accurate. You know, JPO, when he designed these years ago, I mean, they're still really awesome, and the same can be said for the back. And to get a look at the back, however, we're going to have to remove a few things, and those things being his ARC Trooper backpack, his helmet, his head, and his pauldron and neck piece. And now we can see the back of his torso there, and you can see you have some pouches on the back of, or on the bottom, or on the sides of the back of his utility belt. And yeah, so putting his pauldron back on here, and now that we've practically explained about everything that there is going on with 5's that I've updated anyway, we're pretty much about to conclude this showcase here. If you couldn't already tell, I didn't mention it, but him and Captain Rex both sport their signature weapons as provided by Clone Army Customs, and super fantastic designs. And yeah, so Captain Rex had his DC-17 pistols, while 5's is sporting his DC-15S carbine. And then the waist cape is the same waist cape, not changed or modified at all from Cape Madness. And his feet, or you know, his boots, are painted in gray to be consistent with the rest of his, you know, the decals that represent his boots. And then his arms are not modified or altered in any way from the original 5's that I made way back. And still really awesome though. And I'm really, like I said, the biggest thing that I'm gaining from doing this and updating these figures is that, like I said, they're consistent with the clone troopers I made from last year, and that's why we're going to go ahead and conclude this showcase on this note. And I can't guarantee that I'll be making any more clone troopers soon, but hopefully I will later this year, because there were definitely some pretty awesome clone troopers displayed in those final story arcs for Star Wars The Clone Wars. And yeah, so on that note, let's go ahead and conclude this showcase video. Captain, can I ask you something? Well, he's under arrest. You just killed him! Why wasn't your pistol set to stun? And if that's how we do things now, then you're under arrest too. Alright guys, so that about wraps up this showcase on my new versions of Captain Rex and ARC Trooper 5's, and sure, you know, the only really new components here would be their helmets and the minor updates that I did make to the rest of the figures, but I mean, still, it's not easy to make these helmets. It wasn't easy to make these helmets look the way they do. So I mean, if you enjoyed this showcase video or found yourself inspired to make your own versions of Captain Rex and ARC Trooper 5's in their Phase 2 armor, be sure to let me know in the comments below, because when I find out that I inspire some of you guys, that's honestly thrilling to me, and it really does encourage me to do what I do. And if you did find yourself inspired, or if you enjoyed this showcase, like I said, I mean, you can also leave this video a like below to show your support, because like I said again, it's not easy to make these helmets look the way they do, and painting a helmet instead of decaling it is pretty time consuming, and that's why, once again, your support really does go a long way. And you can also follow me on Twitter and Facebook. Links to both of those are also in the description below, and there I post all kinds of behind the scenes photos and updates of what I'm up to and what's to come for my channel, such as the big Utapau mock that I'm working on to bring to Brickfair, Virginia this year. But for the most part, guys, that's it, and I'll see you later. Alright.
Bye!
You know, I didn't really like him anyway. But I mean, wait, gosh damn it. Simply, they may, on my new, well, you know, damn it. General Skywalker, I have a question, and it's really crazy, but I've been thinking about it. I and the 501st have been fighting with you throughout this whole war, and have helped you on countless occasions, and I'm just wondering if one of us were in a dire situation and desperately needed your help, would you be willing to repay the favor? That is a strange question, but yeah, I would be there, of course. Yeah. You can also follow me on... Oh, jeez. I am just really out of it. Gosh damn it.